everyone. You've tuned into UJ Sport on UJTV. My name is Collen. I'm a communications coordinator at UJ Sport and the host of UJ Sport on UJTV show. Here we speak to different athletes, be it student athletes or professionals who've been involved in sport in the past or currently, or people that have a role to play in the sporting fraternity. So today I'm joined by none other than the successful head coach of the UJ Senior Men's Football Club. I'm talking about Mr. Karabo Mogudi. Sir.
Thank you for having me.
This one, I just wanted to find out who you are, where you come from, and because you've been doing so well for UJ. Some people may not know who you are. They know the team, they know you are the coach, but they don't know where you come from, how long you've been involved with the football as a profession. And this episode basically is just to get to understand who you are, where you come from, and what you've done at UJ. Obviously, you've come from other places as well. And building up to the success, what are the sort of things that shaped you as a human being? Besides just football, I'm interested in knowing what makes you tick, the kind of family setting that you came from, stuff like that. Mogudi to me sounds Sepedi, Setswana. Are you Mopedi or are you Motswana?
My name is Karabo Mogudi. So the Mogudi surname obviously comes from the Mogudi family, who are from, I think, Palabora, if I'm not mistaken, Tafelkop. And also part of my lineage is the Cowboy Sailors from Rustenburg. So yes, you are correct in your assertion of being linked to the Tswana people and also the Bapedi people. So yeah, grew up in a Tswana and Pedi household, so bilingual in Tswana and Sepedi. So yeah, you are correct. So I was born in Springs, but mostly raised as a young man in Rustenburg, Harratau, around Makwileng, if people know the areas. And obviously, the aim was always to come back to Gauteng, the Golden City, and study there and hopefully prosper. That's what most families want their kids to achieve, prosperity in the big cities, So that's why I am now in the big city. My life is based here. Now.
Yeah. And of course, for somebody that grew up in Springs and grew up in Rustenburg, those are predominantly black communities. And we know that in townships or rural areas like that, football is one of the main sporting codes that are played there. For many youngsters, we get exposed to sport in our communities and also in schools. Unfortunately, recently schools have sort of abandoned the culture of sports in schools. But if you go to any community, be it Soweto, Khayelitsha, Rustenburg, Jane Fairs, or Bushbuckridge, anywhere, you would find a group of boys playing in a dusty street somewhere, on a ground somewhere, playing barefoot football there. For you, because you're doing so well in football currently as a UJ head coach, but I obviously also know the other stuff that you have done before you came to UJ. Have you always been a soccer fanatic? Have you always played sport, football particularly, and saw that as a career that you'd like to take in the future? Or were you doing other things? I know that some athletes here at UJ, for instance, they were first, they did athletics, and then because athletics it's a seasonal sport, especially in schools and townships. It's not something that runs consistently the whole year. So football would be something that you automatically play because it's there all the time. Have you always been somebody that wants to be involved in sport, or did you have any other ambitions when you were still a youngster?
Yeah, so I think playing the game was obviously something we did recreationally, during lunch, after school, certain times. While I was still at Litsi Primary School in Tsakane, we played football a lot during break and during, lunch, and obviously after school. But what you are speaking about is actually bringing back memories that even though we played football predominantly during our spare time, we played a lot of football. But the school's athletic programs was also very active. So we did athletics, track and field at school. So we ran during certain times of the year, inter-house, and then we'll go into districts and so forth. So that aspect of sport has always been there. When I went to high school, that's when I started playing formal football for the Orlando Pirates Football Club youth programs back in the early 90s, 89, 90,
Without giving away your age.
I'm giving away my age. Yeah, as an under 12 up to under 14 before we moved as a family to Fosloras, where we played for 40s. The team was called 40s. Yeah. And and then it grew from there, from my travels. And then I landed in Soweto, again back to Soweto, in Shawelo. And I played for Mapetla Barcelona then. And that's where a lot of things really clicked, because even as a player then, I used to speak to the coaches a lot, about, hey, coach, what if you play this one here? And then he can do 1, 2, 3, And the coach would be like, okay, Fanagit, okay, let's try it. And then he'll do it, and we'll succeed.
Yeah.
And
so is that where your coaching abilities sort of started to mushroom?
Yeah, I suspect so, because even in one of the tournaments, in the final, I asked the coach, hey, coach, change Sam into being a goalkeeper, because I think he'll do well there and we'll win the tournament. Guess what? The coach changed Sam. He made him a goalkeeper. Sam saved 3 goals and we won, So already that was there. And that was before I moved to Vets. And at Vets, that's where a lot of things happened. When I finished playing due to an injury at the time, a very bad shin injury, which nearly cracked my bone at the time. At least I was also in school. I was at university, studying university as well there.
Yeah. What were you studying at Vets?
I did electrical engineering. No, I was at Vets Tech. So I studied at Vets Tech, which is now UJ.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So that's the Banting Road campus.
No,
Doornfontein.
Yeah,
Okay.
TFC.
Yeah.
And so during that time, I also returned to Vets I wanted to assist in any way, because I knew that I wanted to do something in football, coaching. And I became the manager. The general manager said, okay, yeah, you know what, we need a manager actually, and an assistant coach for the team. I said, yeah, I'll do that. So I did the administrative work, but I also did the assistant coaching duties, and that's where it all started, really. I started doing my coaching courses, and I became better at it.
Yeah. So I want to get to the professional stuff, that obviously to become a successful coach, you are required to undergo certain training or complete certain qualifications for you to be regarded as a coach in certain streams of the game, right? But before we get to that one, I just wanted to find out, as a youngster growing up, either in Springs or Soweto or Rustenburg, who were the players that you looked up to? Because I think that's what shapes a lot of youngsters who go into sports. You go into a certain sports because you like a certain player or a certain team. So for you, who was the player that you looked up to during those times when you were still upcoming? And then what was your favorite team at the time, and what inspired that? Because I know that also family dynamics play a part in people choosing teams. Yeah.
So because when you grow up in a certain environment, obviously you get influenced. by who you support. And obviously, when you're in Orlando, you are an Orlando Pirates fan. So that's where the basis of supporting Orlando Pirates at the time started. But obviously, I'd always liked the likes. Yeah, I've liked a lot of good quality players at Kaizer Chiefs. Yeah, and good quality players at Orlando Pirates. At Kaizer Chiefs, it's a lot. Orlando Pirates, it's a lot. I think those two teams at the time were at their prime, and most of the star players went to them. Your Scaratin Twas, your Shane McGregors, your Fanny Martinez. It was just crazy. There was a lot of them. At Pirates, so many at Pirates. I would list 20 players. A Pototo Makanya, a Brandon Silent, a Basil Steenkamp. So yeah, I'm revealing my age with some of these guys.
Yeah, well, at least I know those players that you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm also up there. Yeah.
Basil Steenkamps, to a certain extent, your Pio Nagueras, there's quite a lot. Your Ian Palmer, who was the late Ian Palmer, a good coaching friend of mine. Sadly, he's departed. It's a lot of players from Orlando Pirates. Why? Because your Pazuka Sishweni, there's a lot. Why? Because as an Orlando Pirates youth at the time, we're the ones who washed their jerseys. At the White House opposite Orlando Stadium, we're the ones who washed those Chibuko and Fruity jerseys.
So you were that close to the team?
Yeah. We were very close to the team. And we washed their jerseys. As I mentioned, we used to wash them, today I'm washing Pazuka Sishweni. When are you always washing Pazuka Sishweni's the jersey, he's my favorite player,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So that's where the love for football started.
Yeah, that's where the love for football started. We went to all their matches at Orlando Stadium. We always went in for free because as youth,
there's always creative ways of getting into the stadium.
Creative ways. Yeah. One was I don't know how it helped, but we polished the old people's shoes and they gave us some coins. We accumulated enough to buy ourselves food from the mamas there. Also, like
a typical township boy.
We hustled our way.
Yeah.
And we watched them very closely, the great Jomosono. Wow, it was just, it was something else.
And I understand during those times, those were the very interesting times with football in South Africa. For me, I think I never got the chance. I think I was still very young. I've never watched Jomosono play, but I watched some of the people that came just after him. I remember during my time, I watched the likes of Asen Tsolengwe. I was a Kaizer Chiefs fan. So Dr. Kumalo at the time, Ntie Mapike, Robson Muchichwa, Teenage Ladla. My favorite was Brian Baloyi, the Spider-Man, because I was a goalkeeper myself growing up. I used to compete with my friends in the rural areas there. We played, we would put two poles that side and then 2 poles here, just maybe some rocks or some buckets, 1 bucket here, 1 bucket. So I would shoot to him, and then one friend is on the other side, I'm this side. I shoot to him, he shoots to me. And the other guy, fortunately we supported the same team, so we would want to know who is the best Spider-Man between the two. And it was interesting during that time as well, especially in the goalkeeping department. For us as youngsters, we looked up to the likes of William Okpara at Orlando Pirates, John Tlale at Mamelodi Sundowns. It was very interesting. Those were the 3 different big goalkeepers at the time when we were coming up. And it inspired me a lot. Unfortunately, we were in the rural areas. I don't think football scouts made it there. I still believe that the guys that played in the rural areas that were good at the time never got an opportunity to play for big teams like Orlando Pirates, Kaizer Chiefs, or just even being seen playing with for teams here in the city.
Just listening to stories of the former professionals, like a Williams Okpara, I went to coaching courses with him. John Tlale. I went to courses with him, coaching courses with him. And I'm inquisitive. I ask a lot of questions, you know. I always wanted to know their journeys. And me being a football coach also, it was important to know all these other aspects of their lives, you know. How did they get to play? Where were they spotted? You know, and a lot of them, funny enough, schools, football, school tournaments were where they were identified, you know. And some of them, like Helman Kelele, you know, when we speak, he'll tell you about his journey, and he'll tell you how important it was for him to put himself out there when they had trials at Jomo Cosmos, and there was just so many people there
that were good.
Yeah, that were good, but he knew that if they had one day to trial and there were so many people, he might not get a chance.
Yeah.
If he just remained in the shadows.
Yeah,
if
yeah,
he just waited to be called. And when they called teams, he was one of
Always
the first ones to be there.
Yeah.
What that helped him with, he says, is that obviously the guys who are identifying the talent, who are recruiting, are still fresh as well. They're still a little bit awake, you know. They still have energy to watch properly. And that's what happened. He got selected from those trials, and that's how he made it.
And he made it, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to listen to how some of these guys make it into football, and it also shapes you as a coach to say, okay, what can I do better in order to see more?
Yeah.
Because yes, he put himself ahead. What about the 1,000th guy who's there and
who's as good as him?
Who's as good as him, but
or even
he'll
better
only
than
play
him.
After
but
2 hours,
yes.
when I'm tired, or maybe I've gone to the toilet, and it's his turn to play, and then I don't see him, you know?
Yeah.
So we obviously had to look at strategies to do better recruitment, strategies to scout better. So, yeah, very interesting.
So you then went on to coach at Vets. You explained that you joined there as a team manager, and then you started doing administrative work as well. And then fast forward going, you started being involved with their team more. And I understand you started there as a player. Of course, you played with the likes of Stanton Fredericks.
Well, I think he came the year before me.
Before you?
Yeah.
It was the same period?
It was the same period, yeah. He was the team of 95.
Yeah.
We were the team of 96.
Okay.
So that was his transition to professional football. He was so good. He was so good.
No wonder he even went to play for Kaizer Chiefs as well.
He was a screaming talent, you know. If you were there to watch football, it was Stanton Fredericks, Money Eyes, Alistair, you know. You knew that these guys should be in professional football. But yeah, your Junaid Hartley, I think, was the year before, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, those guys were screaming talents, you know. They were talents that could not be ignored. Of course, there are other guys as well, but yeah, those were the guys at the time.
For someone that started playing football from that time, a long time ago, and having rubbed shoulders and played and interacted with some of these successful players that went on to play professional football in South Africa, even outside of South Africa, do you think that has shaped the kind of coach that you are now? And also, what did you have to study in addition to you interacting and playing with those players at the time for you to become the kind of coach that you have become today?
Yeah, I was quite fortunate. I think in life you have chance meetings, chance encounters with certain people who are great influencers in terms of coaching. You know, I'll tell you one. Obviously, the big one is Coach, the late Ted Dumitru. He was running a center in Soweto at the Orlando Stadium. Yeah, he was running a center there, a center of excellence. And in Matric, I actually met up with him at the center, but it just so happened that he lived around the block to where I was studying. You know, I was schooling at Banato Park High School. So when we had to go because you'd always have transport issues from there, going to Soweto and then coming back home, you know. So I was lucky that at the time, he said, no, okay. If you are out early, you know, I'll wait for you, we'll go together. And that for me, I think was one of the most important encounters in my life to say, yo, wow. And then we'll speak about football. I don't know how much I understood at the time, but
so there's a lot that shaped you as a coach now.
There's a lot.
Besides just being a player.
And the process is at the center of excellence themselves, you know. How the process, the training methods, the coaching methods that they used, Coach Ted Dumitru and both the late Ted Dumitru and Coach Mandla Mazibubo at the time, you know, their training methods. And some of them have stuck with me, and I use some of them. Obviously, you have to tweak a little bit, because the time frames are not the same, and the paradigms are not the same. So, you know, we, as I mentioned, those are some of the most important people that I met that shaped a little bit of how I view the game. And obviously, the gentleman I was working with, Coach Floyd Mokhale, he's part of the people being mentored by Coach Ted Dumitru. So already there was a follow-up to that process, and we as the coaching team at Vets, under 19s of the Vets calls at the time, we followed the same methodology that Coach Dumitru was basically mentoring them. So it's those chance encounters were very important in shaping how I coach, how I view the game as well.
Now, I one of the things that I like about you, you strike me as somebody who's very calculative. You're very calm. You don't panic in situations. I see this mostly in your game management when you coach the senior men's team here at UJ. If you concede, there's no panic buttons that are being pressed. You always follow your game plan, and in most cases you emerge victorious. You go on and to win games and whatnot. Is this part of the coaching training courses that you take, that, or is it just you personally as a calm somebody that you need to assess situations, manage them better, and with the anticipation or expectation that things will change? You know that if I, follow this plan or take this approach, things will always unfold. I've never heard of any incidents in your team. I mean, I've been with UJ Sport now, this is my third year. I've never had any incidents of players that are doing things that are unruly or whatever. The way you manage your team seems to be the way that your life is, even you personally, outside of the sporting world here at UJ Sport. How important is it as a coach that you lead a life that can influence the other people that you manage? I mean, we hear that in a lot in the Premier League, for instance, that you've got big stars there, people that earn big monies, right? And they obviously have different personalities, etc. But there's certain coaches who can manage those personalities and make them focus on one thing, and which is playing football. Is this something that you are taught as a coach, or is it something that you just have naturally as a human being?
Yeah, so within the coaching process and the coaching education processes, I think the most important thing that I've taken seriously from that is the other caps that the coach wears. For instance, you are here as their mentor. They look up to you. So you really have to be a proper, upstanding role model for them. So simple things like being early for sessions, being prepared for sessions, being clear with your coaching plans, with the players, what objectives they must reach, and when they don't reach them, you assist them, you review. And I think that's one of the most important things that I've done, is that The values that I try to teach, I live them. So they don't have to be told about them. They just have to follow the role model in actioning those values, you know.
So they emulate the life.
Yeah. Kids will be kids. You can tell him, don't take that cup, but if you keep taking that cup, you'll think, oh, but why am I not allowed to take the cup when he's always
They're
taking
gonna
the
try.
cup?
They're gonna try. Yeah.
He says I must
Test
not
it, yeah.
smoke, but he's always smoking. So what you say start going on the back burner, and they start emulating your actions.
The actions,
and, repeatedly, when you do those things, they become habits, you know, and that's what kids learn from adults. They learn what adults do, and they emulate that. So what I try to do is be a role model to my players, and that I have to be prepared. I have to be self-critical. I don't take criticism negatively. I take it as a growth point, a learning point. And that has been the most important thing that I've seen around the players, that if you live a value-based life and you want to implement a certain culture, the players will follow what you do and not necessarily what you say. You can say all these nice big words, but if you don't action them, they're useless to the players. So that's what I've learned with the coaching journey. You know, that's what I've learned with the coaching journey, and I've also learned that you have to self-reflect a lot more. You have to be self-aware, you know, because your body language also tells a story, you know, to the players at training, in matches, in whatever we do. Your body language always tells the players what mood you are in, what state you are in, and if you're always in a panicked state, your players will always panic as well in a match. So when I'm calm, they know, the coach has got this under control. That means we have this under control. It was just a blip, you know, a momentary lapse of concentration. When they look at me, I have a reassuring posture, you know, that I show to them, and they are reassured that we'll come back here. And that's what normally happens, because when you panic, they panic, you go into a destructive state, a perpetual destructive state.
And ultimately it's going to lead to failure.
It's going to lead to failure.
So, Coach, there's players, youngsters, look up to the likes of you as coaches, people that can steer them into the right direction. But then even businessmen themselves, CEOs of big corporations in the world, they still have people that motivate them, that also they look up to those people. For you, personally, in your own profession, are there any other people that you say, if I could do or achieve the same things as that person, or I think this person has led a very good life in terms of professionalism, in terms of how they've managed and succeeded in different setups where they were working, and as well as maybe how they handled situations when situations were not so nice. That happens, that comes in any environment that people find themselves in, especially when you're not doing well as a coach. If you lose matches, or maybe you've been doing certain things to try and win trophies, but then you never get to reach that point that you wish to reach in your life. But fortunately for you, that doesn't apply, because you've won some silverware a couple of times. Who are the people that you look up to? It can be here in South Africa, it can be elsewhere in the world. And I want you to tell me exactly why you look up to those people.
Yeah, look, I look up to a lot of people, because you can't really look up to one person and find everything in them. So there's quite a lot of coaches around the world that I look up to. There's coaches in this country I look up to, you know, and all of them, it's due to certain characteristics. For instance, overseas, I look at Marcelo Lippi, you know, I looked at Carlo Ancelotti, in how stable they are under pressure, you know, and that's what I've tried to emulate, you know, that stability, that calmness under pressure. And look, there's a number of coaches locally, like Coach Piso, you know, very bold. You know, he tells it as it is. You know, he doesn't mince his words. You know, and sometimes people think he's volatile, he's controversial. However, the truth is never easily palatable as lies. You know,
That's a nice way of putting it.
the truth is always full of chili, you know. So it's not easy for people to accept,
to take it,
and to take. And he speaks a lot of truth, and he speaks a lot of truth to people, and they take it as controversial. And I think they always want people to be diplomatic, and he never, you know, speaks from the departure point of being a diplomat. He's always been, you know, upfront with the truth. So there's quite a lot of people that I definitely look up to with their qualities. You know, a Jose Mourinho faced with adversity, you know, he trumps up, you know.
In different teams.
A revolutionist like evolutionist or revolutionist like Pep Guardiola, you know, he is basically someone who shows that when you look at history and just, you know, how do I say it, revive
different teams.
What has worked in the past, he takes what is there and just adapts it. He's not steadfast with his own ways of doing things. I'm from Barcelona, we're going to do the Barcelona thing here at Man City. Not necessarily. Of course, he'll always infuse a few of what he's learned at Barcelona. However,
he's always changing.
He's always changing, you know, and he's always changing
and getting better.
And getting better, you know. Who would have thought that he'll get a striker like Haaland, big guy up front, you know. He started with Messi in a false nine, but that was adaptation. He's using the best players in their best positions. So, and he's adapting always. So
and succeeding as well.
He's succeeding while doing that. So it just shows that you can't always look at one person. You always have to, you know.
You nibble here.
You nibble here and there, you know, and you put it together and you say, wow, okay, this can it work together, you know. And of course, I've got my own characteristics as well, because my ability to learn and absorb information, my ability to also use that information from a practical and a theoretical perspective also, and with the characteristics of the players we have, the people we have around, including the demands, but also the structured UJ, you know, that I'm in and what it demands. I think that ability to put all of that together as well as a coach, I think those are some of my strengths as well. To say I can do that very well. I can mobilize certain personnel to assist us. We've got a big technical team, and I know what I need from each individual. You know, they know what they need to do. So also in that aspect, we are a team. We're a very good team, and everyone pulls their weight. No one has to be told what to do. After matches, I've got my video, I've got my stats from the technical analyst, I've got everything. Almost my report is already made. So the guys are doing so well from a technical perspective.
What do you think makes a successful coach?
I think all of that. But the ability to delegate, because sometimes a lot of people want to do everything all at once and do everything alone
By themselves.
but the ability to delegate and know where to delegate, who to delegate where, the ability to identify strengths and weaknesses in your technical personnel and assist them to achieve what we need to achieve as a team. I think that's important from the coaching perspective. You'll see that other technical teams, you'll have 4 or 5 individuals there, in the technical team. Others you'll have 10, others you have 20. So your ability to manage the 20 is what's important.
Yeah.
Because in order for you to demand the 20 people, it means that there's 20 aspects of the game that you need to be managed. If you have 5, maybe you are overloading your people because you don't know how to dissect the game and its detail the way it should. So I always look at big technical teams and small technical teams and think, surely there must be something different between the 20 and the 5. You've got 5 people, 5 brains. You've got 20 people, 20 brains. Wow. What are these people dissecting?
But they all bring a different element
element
that
makes the whole.
The whole cake,
and the ability of coaches to manage those processes.
Yeah.
I think that's what makes the difference.
The other thing that I wanted to speak to you, Coach, just to hear from somebody that's in the game, that's involved in sport. We know we are in South Africa, and a lot of people share the sentiment that football or sport in general has sort of disintegrated in especially black communities or public schools. What do you think firstly went wrong? Because sport used to be the thing when I was still in high school, and there were other schools that we used to compete from January to September. There was a school's program for sport. Early in the year, we know that between January and April there, it used to be athletics. And then somewhere down the line, then there'll be football. There's other sporting codes as well. And we would travel with from one school to another, different from province to province, playing different other schools. And that has sort of died down. I don't see that a lot in schools. The only teams that you see in communities is those that are, is owned by Collen or somebody in the community who loves sport. And he, put a team together of young boys and bought a few soccer balls and a kit and tried to put a team together. Those things have sort of disappeared, went off the radar in school. And the new Minister of Sport now has come into the fray, and he says that they will inject money into school sport to try and revive sports in general. For you, what do you think went wrong, and what do you think can be done to bring sports back?
At schools?
Yeah,
so
particularly that, because that's where the development starts.
Yeah, it's a huge topic. It's a huge topic, and there's no one answer for it, but it had to start somewhere for it to deteriorate, right?
Yeah.
And I think number one, it started in the schools itself. Why do I say this? It's because the curriculum also grew, but the curriculum did not include physical education or sport in general, but I call it physical education because that should be the foundation of sport. Having those PE classes, having the right people teaching movement to kids, and what that has done is that they've taken your normal subjects and put them into those PE classes. However, they've also expanded the curriculum to such an extent that a youngster, a young scholar cannot do anything else but
to focus on academics only.
And we've lost the balance of life that kids must play. Kids must have time for enjoyment. Kids must socialize in a way that
it builds them.
Yeah, in a way that builds them in a productive manner.
It gets them out of trouble,
Yeah, that gets them out of trouble. And using positive methods of that, which is sport, drama, you name it, sports, arts, culture, drama. Yeah, so we used to do that at school. We used to do drama. We used to do athletics, football, inter-house, within schools.
and traveling, just
Yeah.
that fine, fun traveling. When you know that your school is going to play another
play
school in
whoever,
another province
yeah.
somewhere, that used to bring a lot of excitement.
Even camps themselves. We used to go camping, schools. We used to
Discipline
find,
also, that was part of that. Sports itself is a form of introducing discipline in people.
Look, it's a no-brainer. The advantages of sport help with academics. The advantages of sport help with behavior. If you look at the situations at most of our township schools, we are struggling with the behavioral component of young people.
Yeah.
And that, for me, has shown me that if you don't infuse sport in school, the youngsters will find a way to express themselves. And unfortunately, as some politicians have said, that when you have a revolution that is not led, that is leaderless, it becomes chaos. So the kids are following the same methodology, the same route or path, where they're not led by proper role models or sports
They
teachers.
start looking at different
They start
things,
looking at
like-
different things to
Yeah,
do, and they
yeah.
will release their energies in inappropriate environments.
Yeah.
With inappropriate
So we see a lot of
behaviors.
social
We
ills,
see a
drug
lot of social
abuse,
ills.
substance abuse,
Exactly.
teenage
But
pregnancies.
if kids are
yeah.
guided and they are helped to focus on sport or other productive ways of expressing themselves, you can see the difference. You can see the difference with how well behaved most of our student athletes are here at the university, because they don't have time for anything else.
Yeah.
They've got time for studies.
When they're done with their
Yeah,
studies,
studies,
they go to their training
there's
fields or
training,
gyms,
you know.
games.
So yes, maybe some of them go clubbing once in a while, but it is not in a way that
It's
their
the priority.
energies.
Yeah, it's not
like
the
their
number
energies are
one thing.
focused. Yeah, exactly. So,
Yeah.
and that's how sport can help. It can actually focus these student athletes in a
Yeah.
better way.
Yeah.
And that's why they're doing well at school. That's why they're so well behaved. Because in a sporting environment also comes the element of respect, of respecting a teammate, an opponent, but also in a high performance environment,
Yeah.
there are certain values.
Learning how to accept defeat or
Exactly.
stuff like that.
And they're learning to live within the rules.
Yeah.
Sport has rules. So them respecting the rules means even in the workplace, they'll respect the rules of the workplace.
Yeah.
They last
It
longer.
shapes the person overall.
It's a no-brainer.
I use football as a guiding principle in my life. Every aspect of football, I think I've tried to apply that in my life, and I think it has helped a great deal. I don't know what I would have done, what else I would have done if it wasn't sport in high school. Playing volleyball or playing football as a goalkeeper growing up in the community and in the school that I went to. And then once I left there, then I came to Johannesburg to study, and I focused on my studies. I obviously never played sport when I got here, but I'm still in the sports environment now, even as an employee. So I think that's very important what you're saying, and very true. Now, for you, Coach, since you've joined UJ in 2017, right? When you came here, was it 2017? Yeah. You have turned around a lot in the UJ Football Club, and you became the first coach to win the FNB Varsity Football Tournament, and you've now won 2 leagues, 2021, 2023. Last year you were the runners-up in the Blue Stream. I think success has followed you. You have done tremendously well. This is me giving you your flowers. I know that we always expect results from people, but we don't acknowledge or just pause for a moment to say, Coach, thank you for what you have done. You have done really well. And that is not only for yourself, it's not only for UJ Sport as a division, but for the University of Johannesburg brand as a whole. So when people look at the UJ team, maybe in the past we were not regarded as challengers in these competitions. But right now, when a team from Pretoria or elsewhere in the country, when they go to play against UJ, they know that they have to prepare really very well. And it's not going to be an easy thing to win against UJ. So for me, I think I just wanted to say to you, well done on what you have done. I know that you still have a long way to go. The thing that I wanted to hear from you is I would love to see you, obviously, coaching one of the professional teams in the Premier Soccer League here in South Africa. Where would you like to go? Whether it's here or seeing yourself coaching any other league, whether it's in the Middle East or in Europe or Asia, do you see yourself going beyond where you are? I don't think you would be satisfied with succeeding just here at UJ. You probably have other ambitions, and could you please just share with us some of those?
Yeah, obviously, winning these championships and leagues and tournaments, it's not just me who wins them. I think the whole technical team wins them. The teamwork with the technical team has been impressive. Has been tremendous. And I think I have to thank the coaches there. Coach Tando, my assistant coach, is also the head of analysis at UJ. He does a lot of our set plays as well. And you have a lot of other people as well, the sports scientists. It was Kelvin Lomo, who's now with, I think it's Simba in Tanzania. We had Obaken, who's now with the Springboks.
The Blitzboks.
Is it the Blitzboks? Yeah, you have now Walter Mtsweni, Toki, is also with our rugby team and so forth. So these guys have done well, in conditioning the players, and there's more. Our medical department, well, even the whole technical team as a whole, it's not just Coach Tando, it's all the other coaching interns that we have, our coaching mentees, Coach Nukanyo, Josh, Tabo in the analysis department, Mpo, who's our logistics manager. We have the team manager, Tapelo, Coach Paseka, our goalkeeper coach. There's so many. And then obviously the support system from management, is key. Fefe, Nompilo. The four no's in my life are actually positive.
Nomcebo, Nomsa,
Actually,
Nompilo.
it's actually
it's five.
Yeah, it's Nolufefe, Nompilo, Nomcebo, Nomsa, Nolita.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah, so that's the five no's in my life.
Yes.
And all those five no's are actually positives in my coaching life here at UJ.
Yeah.
And look, without them, we would have struggled. They helped me so much. They also keep me
on your
honest.
toes as well.
Yeah, they keep me on my toes and honest. Especially the last two no's. Dr. Nolita.
They want you to bring the trophy.
Yeah, they always want me to bring the trophy to UJ. And that's what I always
And
promised
you've done
them.
that.
Yeah, that's what I always promised them, that I'll deliver the trophy.
Yeah.
One way or another. And what that has done is actually helped me to also improve my processes, to ensure that I'm always trying to be at the top of my game, always. And obviously, I'd like to coach at a high level in the future. It was a possibility a year or two ago. It was a possibility, but at the time, I chose to remain with UJ because of the amount of work that I still think needs to be done to leave a proper foundation for future coaches of the UJ senior men's team, I believe I need to leave this place a better place, to leave a proper foundation, so that when they come here, they've got processes to follow, that they don't come here and
the structure.
And not necessarily but land in a vacuum.
Yes.
So I want them to land in an environment with structures. So to set up those structures is not easy.
Yeah.
It takes time. It takes, like getting volunteers, but getting good volunteers. How do you screen them? To say they must add value. They should come here and add value. How do you screen them? And that's very important, because that's an important aspect as well that people miss.
Yeah.
Getting quality volunteers to assist within the program.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know I want to definitely coach at a high level in the future, but everything has its time.
Has its own time.
They always say your own pace, in your own lane, while running your own race. So yeah, I believe it will happen, but I'm not in a rush.
Yeah.
I'm not in a rush.
Yeah.
I'm not in a rush to get there. It will happen.
I believe in you, Coach. I've seen your work. Personally, I think from 2021, when I joined UJ Sport, I think I was never really, I was that close, but not very close as I became from 2021 with UJ Sport. And since I joined here, I have observed the different environments. We've got 11 teams here, or clubs. And, I've observed the different teams. And when I saw you, I was like, this guy's got something different that brings success to UJ, especially when we played in the bubble. I think that was my first close interaction with you and the rest of the technical team and the team players. And then we went into last year as well, and I saw the consistency as well. And then this year, it just keeps on getting better. So I thought I should sit down with you, just hear from the man himself what he thinks of different things and what the future holds for him. And I can only wish you the best from here, Coach. So well done for what you have done for UJ. And I think when you leave here, it's a legacy that many people will remember. For me personally, I don't take it for granted. I'm very grateful that I've had the opportunity to sit down with you and work with you like this, and have a heart-to-heart conversation. And I will remember you, I think, for a very long time. I wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right. That was Coach Karabo Mogudi, the head coach of UJ Senior Men's Team, football team. You guys have been seeing the UJ team doing very well, winning the different leagues, winning the varsity football tournament in 2021, and I believe that they will lift that trophy again this year. Last year they came very close and they lost in the final to Tshwane University of Technology, but that's in the past. Now we look into the future, and I believe that Coach will deliver us to the promised land. Please tune into UJ Sport on UJTV in the other episodes. Share your feedback with us in the comment section and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
The University of Johannesburg, the future reimagined.